Okay, well, we are heading into the final week of the fall 2021 Classic season, and I missed last week, but that's okay because usually weeks 3 and 4 kind of tend to be sort of the dog days of the league where not as many games get played, and then usually in the last week, a lot get played. So. And you're probably wondering why we're starting on this page. So normally I would start on the standings and kind of go through the standings, and I will reference them throughout this, but this is kind of the bigger picture. And so what you're looking at here is the forum. NHL 94 forum. Angry J has set up a classic playoff scenarios. Now, I think this was something that Raf had done initially and set up for us, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, AJ is looking after it now, and it's a nice way to kind of look at how the playoffs are setting up. So, as you're already aware, or should be already aware if you've been paying attention to the rules, that we have our negative points rule, this DNP. So what happens at the end of the season is any end game, unplayed games, you lose minus, or you get deducted 2 points from your point total, and then we determine after that uh, whatever's left. Those are the ones that make it in the playoffs, and after that we seed them by win percentage. So you can see right now the RAF has a 600 win percentage, but he's not in the playoffs. And this is because, tentatively, he's only played 25 games and he's lost a lot of, or he's in a negative point situation. So, but Raf's good. He's pretty solid. So we know that he's going to finish up the season this week and we'll squeak back into the playoffs. But I wanted to talk about Indio, who is our sort of NHL 94 community member who's just been kind of uh, going crazy from where he started last year, just climbing the charts and having the opportunity to take over a team this year. And I just wanted to highlight 3 games he played against Raf yesterday, which was quite amazing. And I think even Raf acknowledged that it was uh, pretty pretty significant. An 8-2, 6-2, 7-4 win he had over Raf, which I don't think many people would have predicted that. So look out for Indio. He's climbing the charts, and that's kind of what we want to see in the Sega side too, because not as many near the top in terms of equal skill level, say in comparison to the Super Nintendo side. So, like I said, we have 1 week left, and in theory, every league should be at 80% completed, and so some of them aren't. Sega's done mostly overall better as I scroll kind of through. Super Nintendo is kind of lagging behind. But anyways, the Gens AA, they're sitting at 78% for the week. So they're just under, pretty close. And again, there's only 5 people there. So I'm sure that that will get wrapped up this week. Moving on to Gens A, which is our, we'll call it our flagship league because this is amazing. 99% of their games have been completed. Literally, there's only 3 games left between Kaz Legend and Dan TML 7. Dan needs to play these games because he is sitting on the outside of a playoff spot, and if he can play them, and I think he just needs to win one of them. That would put him in a tie with Tecmo DPS, but I believe he holds some tiebreakers that would bump him ahead. So Tecmo is really hoping that Kaz can do him a favor and take 3 from Dan, but those are some big matches coming up. So that's pretty cool to see. And first place is still on the line for Kaz Legend. So right now he would take over first place. He is the number 1 seed. This I think is a little bit off here. Because he has a higher win percentage. So Thrill House would be bumped down to would be the 3rd seed. So I think you want to ignore that. And then on the other side of the division, good job for Mr. TX, Mr. Texaco. He is in the second seed, and he finished out. He was well behind early on and played a lot of games over the last couple of weeks, so good job to him. Indio sitting in fourth spot, SPACman sitting in fifth spot. And again, this could change, I think. Maybe not. It would depend on if Dan took all three games against Kaz. No, that wouldn't matter because he's still at 48. So it's likely that these two, I think, will finish fourth and fifth. If I look at it correctly. So, but we'll see there, see how that ends up. But anyways, good job, Gens B. Did an amazing job getting games in. So I'll kind of go through the standings a bit later, but I just wanted to go through the playoff scenarios because that's really the biggest thing for this week. Gens B, 84% complete. Again, above where we want them to be for games played. This is great. And most of the top guys here have already almost finished their season. 3 of them have. Coke only needs one more game. But they all are near the top there. And Anatar, McMarcus, there could be a bunch up near the end here because we've got Charlesworth, Skills, McMarcus, even T-Dubs if he can pull off some wins. These positions could all change near the end. So I think there's still some potential for them to make the playoffs, but we'll see how that folds out. Gen C at 92%. And 4 guys have finished their league so far. And right now near the bottom, we have Ellis, 8555. He is near the bottom there, but the one guy that could still make it, Ultra Magnus, 8 games left he has to play, so we'll see how he makes out there. Gens D, whoops, went down too far. I need to move this bar. Get that down a little bit. Gen Z. There is, again, so Wittgenstein, 15 games he needs to play. He's at a 600 win percentage, so he should be getting the playoffs. And same with Buckaroo. He's at 480, so in theory, he's got a good enough win percentage that they can play some more games and get some more wins. Then they can squeak in and possibly knock down Lee and Double Dan, who have a win percentage of 314. But we'll see what happens there. SNES AAA. Token Toma did an amazing job yesterday. 22 games he played and then quickly shot up the charts and is now sitting in a playoff spot currently. The bottom 4 here still have quite a few games to play. I took over from Montreal there, so that was just more of a filler role. Certainly had no expectations of even coming close to a playoff spot, and you can see that by the old 131 win percentage that continues to decrease as each game that I play. So, but Angry J, the Professor, Anachar, their win percentages would indicate that they might not make it. But they need to play some games and win some games to see if they're going to get in. I think at this point, even if Angry J plays, if he plays his games, he's going to move up just on games played alone. And I'm sure that he's got 5 games left against me, so he'll win a bunch of those, if not all of them, and that'll move him into a playoff spot. But King Raph, he's sitting at 31 games played. Kind of at the bottom right now of the playoffs thing, but his win percentage 581, so he's right on the cusp there too. So Jammer, Dangler, both at 500, are on the edge. And great job for Coke, got his 40 games in. SNES AA. This is the league that is severely dragging behind all the other leagues. Only 68% win percentage, completion percentage for the league so far. Tick and S way out in front. I believe he's clinched top spot. We'll go check in the standings on that a bit later. And then Big Valboski is holding on to the last playoff spot. His win percentage is at 207, so I think based on that, if Grillbit or McMarcus can kind of get some more games going, then they probably will overtake that 6th spot. SNES-A, 79% games complete, so pretty close to the 80% overall. And again, if we're looking at the playoff spots, the bottom 3 points percentage are also the bottom 3 in the playoffs. So this may kind of hold true near the end that Lego Skills, and I just recently took over Hockey Fan just to help guys finish, that the 3 of us will finish out. But we'll see how that goes. Lots of games left. And then finally, SNES-B, the same thing, the top 6. This is, again, Berg and Greg, they've only played 22 games, and at least from our win percentage, I think if Berg can get some more games in, then he probably will overtake either Gamby. Well, I say Gamby would be the first one based on the win percentage. So we'll see there. Let's go over and take a look at the standings, because the standings are fun. They're fun. And I always just like to look at the wins and all that kind of stuff too. So Angry J is 24-5. He is on pace to get that 30-win season. He's got 5.14 goals per game. He also has a chance for the 200 goal, the 30 wins and 200 goal plateau, which would be pretty cool if you got that. So still has 11 games left, so we'll see how we do. I know that India was saying that I think India had played Angry J 9 consecutive games and only won once, and I think he was regretting not taking a break, perhaps partway through, and maybe only playing like half the games, because he's obviously improved a lot more since. And I mean, he could catch one of these guys for the final playoff spot. He's only 6 wins behind Tick and Est here, and so I mean, it's not impossible. Let's just see quickly who he has left to play. So he's got games against Scribe, he's got games against Raph, who he beat this week, and then he's got 1 game against AJ. So still not what I would have predicted. That I would have thought that India would have been farther back, but he's still in it. And of course, so there's a bit of a battle. We expect King Raph will get into the playoffs, and but Scribe, India, and I know Tick and S is keeping an eye on the chart at 16-24 in a 3-team league. In theory, that might not be enough for him to get in, but we'll see how this finishes out. So Scribe needs to win at least 3 games. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's wins and then head-to-head record, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and look. So Chicago has won 4 of the games this year, so that means that Scribe has the tiebreaker. If he can, oh, sorry, no, I'm wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chicago has. I'm completely wrong. Chicago has 6 wins, so Chicago has the tiebreaker, if I remember correctly. I believe that's the second one. I'd have to go back and double check. So that means Scribe needs to win 4 games. Gens A. Let's take a look at the standings. And as we already said before, Mr. T, he clinched the 2nd seed over here in the Western Conference. There are nobody on pace to get the 30 wins. There's nobody on pace to get the 200 goals per season. And you know what? This is the kind of league that we were hoping for. We wanted, when we set up these divisions, and we tried to do it by skill level. And I think this truly reflects the skill level of these 10 guys. The hope was that we didn't have to reduce the amount of people that had win percentage less than 300 and not have people that had more than 700. And all these 10 guys all fall within this range. So a very competitive league, which I think maybe that's why they're so far ahead because all the games are probably within range. Everybody felt like they had a chance to win at any given point. So pretty cool stuff there. As you mentioned, we know that Thrill House is in. We know that Kaz Legend is in. Mr. T, Indio, those top four are in. Spackman is in. So the last playoff spot that is up for grabs is between Tecmo DPS and Dan TML. So those last three games are very important for Dan. We will see how they go, and hopefully maybe Dan will stream them, let us know, and he can kind of track his own progress for making the playoffs. But I believe that he held um, uh, the tiebreaker. So let me see here. So Dallas won one game. Dallas won two games. And how many did they have against each other? One, two. Oh, they split. They split. So I can't remember what the next tiebreaker is. I'd have to go back and take a look. So maybe 1 min is not enough for Dan. I'm not sure. Probably should have reviewed that before I jumped on here, but this is unscripted. I just kind of roll with the punches. I don't plan anything because, like, nobody really. I don't think you guys care too much. So let's move on to Gens B. Gens B. Oh, look at this! Amazing! NIU Husky 224. He got the 30-win club and he got 200 goals. He just squeaked on there. It says 4.98 goals for a game per average, which you're probably wondering, well, how does that work? I think that has something to do with how the overtimes report. Maybe it's the time. So it factors in overtime games is longer than, and he obviously had a few overtime games, but I think that that's where that comes from. If I'm not mistaken, that's why the math doesn't work perfectly. But Chaos would be the one to ask on that. So, but yeah, good for Jim. Good job. That's a pretty rare feat that you get both of them. So, and you would think that if you did get 30 wins, that you would always pretty much get the 200 goals for, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, anyways, he's in the playoffs. Coke is in the playoffs. Beavish is in the playoffs. Leif Erikson is should be in the playoffs. 1822. I think that's pretty safe for 6 out of a 9-team league. And then, like I said, we got a bunch of guys down here that are all going to battle out for that final playoff spot. Might be hard for T-Dubs. He really needs to. I would say probably needs to go 7-1, or sorry, 7-2, 8-1 in his remaining games to make it. And Anatar, I did talk to Anatar. He's at 19 games played, but he said he's just been a little bit busy lately, but he will get them all in. So we'll see how that all plays out there. Nobody else is eligible for the looks like the 200 goals at this point based on their goals per game for average, and nobody else has a chance for that 30 wins. Gens C. Big V. Big Valboski got his 30-win club, and he is the #1 seed for this division. It looks like that Drizzle, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it looks like he'll collect the #2 seed. So, still some chances to make the playoffs. I mean, Ellis is eliminated here. He did ask. He said, "Is this the record for futility in the Classic League?" And it's not. It is. You might think that it would be, but there was one guy. I did remember one guy. He didn't quite finish the 40 games. He played 38, but he was 0-37-1. So. And so that's been he only played the one season too, if I remember. But you know what? I respect that when people play, and even though they're getting pounded, they still commit to finishing their season because, as you know, some people quit, which is too bad. We like to know if you're committing to a season that you're not quitting because you're losing. That you're if you have to leave, it's for other reasons, personal reasons, family reasons, those kinds of things, or work related or whatever. So I admire Ellis for playing 35 games, 232-1, despite this, and he's given herself. Thanks a lot. That's really appreciate that you've done that. So. Jared sitting at 2020, he should get in, and Lego it could be in a bit of jeopardy here, really, because Ultra Magnus has told me he's like, I think when he took over at one point, he started off slow. He may have been around like 2-13 at one point, but he really has turned it on lately. Picked up a lot of wins, and I mean 7-3 in his last 10, and he could catch him. He could catch Lego. He's got 8 games left, and let's see who he has left to play. He's got Vancouver, so that's Tecmo John, and he's got 2 games against Quebec, which is Eperniet. I wish he would just post somewhere how to pronounce his coaching name, because I don't know. A.E. Perniet. A.E. Pernier? Eperniet. He's 18-15. Good contender to get into the playoffs, but still, he's got 7 games left. And who does he have left? He plays New Jersey. Okay, so he should get in. Should have some wins there against New Jersey to finish out his season. So, anyways, yeah, Tecmo John also looking good to get in, but right now I would say it's really down to Lego and Ultra Magnus, and if Ultra Magnus can squeak in, and does he hold the tiebreaker against St. Louis? Just let's take a quick check. St. Louis has won 1-2, and Detroit won 4. So yeah, I think at this point Ultra Magnus is probably a pretty good bet. He just needs to win 2 games, I think, and he'll have the tiebreaker to get in. But obviously he'll want to win more than that, see if he can move himself maybe up a spot or 2, because he has some games against Tecmo John, so if he can win a bunch of those, he may be able to squeak into the 5th seed and bump John down to 6th. But it's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. Tecmo John 17-6-1. Nobody else on pace this year for the 200 goal club. Let's move on to Gens D. I just realized I'm at 23 minutes right now, so gosh, things are running a little bit slower, but that's because I wanted to do the playoff scenarios before. Gens D. So, look at this. Kid's wasted 29-6. Oh my gosh, he is doing incredible. He should get his 30 wins. He should get his 200 goals, and he will be the other member of that club for 30 wins and 200 goals. So, pretty cool there. BAME 23, 22-13. Looking strong here to make the playoffs as well. Ultra Magnus sitting at 20-20. I'm pretty sure that he will be in. Wittgenstein is 15-10. Again, he's got a lot of games he's got to play. Seems like the skill is there, the wins are there, but the games are not there, and you need the games so that you don't get those negative points. Once a Guru, 15-15, another decent contender here, should get in the playoffs again, but he needs to finish games. Those are important. And Buckaroo, 12-13, same thing, 480 win percentage, but if he doesn't play the games, he's not going to squeak in. So, double down, Lee Dagger, they're falling behind Comical Font, same thing at the bottom, but again, if you can play games and then pick up a few wins, you never know, because if the other guys don't finish, then maybe you squeak in just based on not having the negative points hurting you. So, see how that finishes out there. Let's move on to SNES AAA. So I recently took over for Montreal, doing pretty good here, 3-20. I was expecting to be 2-21 at this point, but 3-20. So well ahead of my expectations, doing awesome there. And let me go back there. Yeah, I've lost 10 in a row, so that's not bad. I mean, some people lose 11 in a row, and I'm only at 10. So think about that. There's a lot of positives to take away from this so far. This league here has 4 teams that actually have a chance to reach that 200 goal club. King Raph, the Professor, Coke, Token Tillman. As I mentioned before, Token Tillman played 22 games yesterday. He was way behind on games and just pounded a bunch out and boosted himself up 600 win percentage. Coke is clinched the division 28-12, and so he gets the top. Right now, he's seed number 1, and I think, yeah, he has clinched the top seed. Bob Kudelski in the running here for seed number 2, although Raph looks like Raph could catch him, depending on how Raph's remaining games play out. He'd have to put a much bigger win streak together, but he could do that and possibly bump Kudelski down a seed or two. So Dangler, 19-19, he is looking good there to make the playoffs. And again, with 6 teams making the playoffs in a 10-team league, you would have to think that a 500 record is going to get you in. But you never know, because it could be a tiebreaker between him and Jammer if for that 6th and 7th spot. So they're both sitting at that 500 record. So we'll see what happens there. Should just quickly check to see what the tiebreaker is between those two. Oh, they haven't even played yet. Oh no, they have played. Okay, they have played. Boston has won 2 of them. Ooh. So really big games for Dangler there. He really needs to win those 2 to give him a good spot to just make sure he shores up that final playoff spot. I mean, even if he loses them, there's still mathematically that he could still get in because, I mean, right now the Professor's 12-15, Anatar's 10-16. Obviously, I'm not getting in, and Angry J is 12-22. Now, keep in mind that the Professor and Anatar and Angry J, they all have to play me. So it's not unreasonable to think that in those 4 and 5 games that they have to play me, that they're going to win, most, if not all, of their games. So that would definitely change what this looks like for them. And yeah, so that's it there. Well, like I say, we got 1 week left. We'll see how that one plays out. Moving on to SNESA. Dan TML, what an amazing job here. 28-9. He is way up near the top there of the league, and he has a chance for those 30 wins if he can get a couple more to finish out. Doesn't look like anybody here is on pace for the 200 goal club. 90 Jacket, 25-13. He should be in. Tecmo John looks like he's a pretty safe bet to be in. The Rexer Show should get in. Again, he's at 29 games, though. He needs to play a lot here near the end, make sure that he doesn't get bumped out. That Drizzle, 15-16-1, kind of right near the bubble, but looks like he has the edge there on Slippery Pete. So I would say I would fully expect that Drizzle will get in. And so then really it comes down to these last few guys here, either Slippery Pete or Skills or Lego, to see if they can finish out and squeak into the playoffs and take that 6th spot. Like I said, I took over for Hockey Fan there, 4-16, so I'm really just helping guys finish out their season so that they can get in and not have any negative games played. And finally, SNESB, which I think this league is pretty much almost set, but there is probably one final battle for a playoff spot that could be left when I look at the standings. So NIU Husky, 23-12-2, and should wrap up first place. Actually, barring a huge run by Berg, I think he will wrap up first place in that division. And then Kids Wasted on the other time, 24 and 13, also with the same amount of points, is up near the top. But Decadent is pretty close behind him and 23 and 10, so I think Decadent should pull ahead of him. Again, comes down to games played near the end. Should pull ahead of him for points and squeak into the, top spot. So, AAA should also, looks like he will also qualify for the playoffs. But right now, I would say that there's 3 people up. Greg needs to put on quite a bit of wins here if he's going to have any chance of making the playoffs. Gamby 7 and 23, same thing. I think he needs to play a lot of games, get some wins to see if he can get in. But ultimately, I think Gamby holds the final spot right now because he's played more games than Berg, 8 more games, and so he hasn't had that negative points hurting him. So he may get in based on having played enough games and not losing those negative points. I wanted to say that I think this is amazing. AAA has scored if I'm not mistaken, he scored the most goals. I have to go back and check all the standings, but I think he scored the most goals out of anybody in any league, except for, let me double check AJ's. Yeah, so he's on pace to score the most goals, which is incredible. He's already got 223 goals. This is awesome. And for a team that's 18 and 19, I mean, I guess the defense just wasn't there, but I mean, that's pretty remarkable to have a under 500 record and still score 6 goals per game. So we'll see if he can finish it out there near the end. He's got 3 games left, so in order to be able to do that. But congratulations to him for getting the 200 goal club, and he's still got 3 games to spare. So he probably did that. Well, if I did some quick math there, 3 games ago, roughly. Although I didn't check the scores, but we'll make that assumption. So, still pretty darn good. And Berg, he could also reach the 200 goal club if he finishes out the season. And then NIU Husky, only 8 goals away here in his last 3 games, should get that. So we'd have 3 people at that 200 goal club, which is pretty cool. So, all right, that's it. Thanks for listening. If you made it through to 32 minutes of this, then good for you. You're probably sitting down having some lunch and realized that 2 peanut butter and jam sandwiches weren't enough, so you needed 6 more to get through the rest of it in order to listen to the rest of this video. I appreciate you sticking around. I will be back again, I'll say next week, but I don't know for sure next week. But I would like to do a regular season post wrap up. And I know that Tick and S wanted to pop some graphs in here. He might actually, I think he did send me some, and I meant to do that. And I just realized that now. But next week, maybe we can get a few of his regular season ending graphs, and we can talk about those for that. And Tick, I think you're listening, and if you are listening at this point, one thing I wanted you to do was to, if you have some time after the season's over, compare last year's Classic League game results versus this year's game results and see if the goal spread is reduced. Because I'm going to use that perhaps as an indicator. If the games are reduced, that means the games are closer. That means they were more competitive, and what the changes in terms of the league structure we made this year were better. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're worse. Maybe they're the same. I don't know. I know that like I said, we set a goal to try and get leagues to be within that 700 to 300 range. Last year, I think there were 23 teams that fell outside that range. I can't remember exactly how many teams there were, so it would be more of a percentage. But if we go back here and I look through these, so these are all within range. Gens, Double A, we have 1 team that's at the outlier. If I go to Gens B, we have a 2nd team that it's in the outlier above 700. And Gen C, we have one team below, one team above, so that's 4. I can count. Gens D, we have one team above, so that's 5. SNES-A, we have one team below, one team above, so that's 7. Double A, we have one team above, one team below, 2 teams below, 3 teams below, so that would make 11. I hope I'm adding it up right here. Triple A, we've got 1 below and none above, so that's 12. B, we have 2 below, so that's 14. So last year we had 23 outside those outliers. This year we have 14 outside those outliers. Again, I can't remember exactly. I think we had probably about the same amount of teams year over year, but I have to double check that. So that would be an indicator to say that we reduced the amount. So that's good. That's good that we reduced the amount of the ones that are above and below that percentage. So. Okay, I just rambled on for an extra few minutes there, but again, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe in the future, if somebody, maybe we could get somebody else to kind of join me in on this. But at a minimum, next week, love to be able to do a final wrap up, and Chicken S can provide his plethora of graphs, and we can talk about some of them. That's it. My name is Daryl. Go by Halifax on the forums and on Discord and online community and online gaming and on everything else. So that's it. Thanks for watching.